Essentially, Marley's a quiet man. A difficult man to reach because he's got no interest in the hype vibe, which preoccupies so many rock stars. He upset many New Zealand journalists by refusing interviews. Not because of a sudden whim, but because really he isn't interested in that type of thing.
Media. You see, if I run a newspaper, I would do a lot of interviews because what I want to say, I would get it across. But when I talk to someone who have to go to someone, and then I'm hesitant to fit up their business, and if it's too militant, them try to spread a type of propaganda. I mean, media, the media is a different game. Media is a media control.
You were badly hurt once because of what seemed to be some sort of political type shooting in your home country, Jamaica. Do you see dabbling in politics a good idea for someone in your position?
Well, is it dabbling in politics? I don't know what that is. You see, stand up and talk for my rights. I know what that is. See? And I don't care who the guy is. Because my right is my right, like my life. You know? All I have is my life. That means if I can say, I don't want that or I don't want this. When I check it out, the biggest man was a baby one time. So I don't know where him get all of these big ideas, want to be rulers over people. You see? And help enforce devilism. Can't dig it. Can't take it. We're rebel, man. We're revolutionaries, you know?
Is that the way you see yourself?
Yeah, I see myself as a revolutionary who don't have no help and not take no bribe from no one. I fight it single-handed with music. Rasta is the future.
A revolutionary who takes no money from nobody, who fights my fight by myself with my music. I hope people can understand that. And I saw Unc say he lived in Baltimore. Yeah, he spent time in Baltimore. He spent time in Delaware too. He spent time in Delaware too. So I'm going to move on to the next clip. We're going to go to, it's a 26-minute interview. Maybe one day we'll look at the entire thing, but I have two parts highlighted for y'all to check out. Hold on. Share this tab instead. Full screen. All right, let me, Bob Marley got it. He saw through the BS early in his life and sought to speak his truth with his music. I'm telling you. I have no education. I have inspiration. If I was educated, I would be a damn fool. Oh my God, man. And this is why I asked the question earlier. Was he ahead of his time? Or are we just still stuck in the past to where, like you said, Steve, we're just going down the rabbit hole, getting more indoctrinated, getting more like, what is it? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like I hear him talking. It's like, yo, these are all the answers for today. It's almost like when I hear Malcolm X talk about politics, I'm like, yo, that same thing's happening today. And it's like, yeah, it's the same thing that probably has always happened throughout the world, throughout eternity, throughout humanity. It's the fight for power. People who are insecure and feel less than are always looking for ways that they can control other groups of people, and they do it with different ways, and that way is called that's where politics was born from. All right, let's take a look at this.
From a point of music, because music is always conscious. But since the reggae come out, the reggae start talk about Africa, blackness, you know, in a militant way. So that is how that is how the lyrics differ from the "Oh Island in the Sun."
Well, who are some of your influences?
Well, I think my biggest influence is Marcus Garvey Haile Selassie. Sure.
from what you heard coming up as a boy about Garvey, or what you've learned now that you're grown, or what?
What we hear, what we read, you know, and what we know about him.
Did you learn much about Garvey in school in Jamaica?
No. Yes, them don't teach. It's the education that we don't get in school, you know. We don't get that type of education that when we grow up we can know who we is. We get a more education that we might know who Christopher Columbus is, or who Marco Polo is, you know. But we never really know who Marcus Garvey is, who Haile Selassie is, or who any black man is.
Speaking of Columbus, so Bob Marley was looking up to Marcus Garvey, and a lot of people, I'm not sure if y'all have ever heard Bob Marley, and I think he may talk about it in this interview, where he actually, they asked him about Black Americans. They asked him about Black Americans, and maybe it was like Black people in different parts of the world as well, but I think specifically about Black Americans. And he was talking about how people need to stop embracing victimhood and do for self. This is what Bob Marley was speaking at this time. And the reason why it's not surprising is because if anybody's familiar with Marcus Garvey, then you know. There's a reason why we do not learn about Marcus Garvey in public school. Like everything that, let me put it this way. Everything that your favorite civil rights activist was preaching, whether it's Martin, whether it's Malcolm, whether it was Fred Hampton, whether it was Huey P. Newton, everything that they were preaching, Marcus Garvey was doing on a grand scale. That's why they had to get Marcus Garvey out of here. That's why he was deported. Everything they were preaching, do for self and do. This is why Marcus Garvey is believed that he was working with the KKK. He didn't care that they were nationalists. He's like, yo, you want to do for your folk? I'm gonna do for my folk. If that's these are the rules that we going by right now. All right, let's play ball. He adapted to the society that he was living in. Now, I'll be totally honest. I love Marcus Garvey's principles. And I love the things that he was able to do, bring unity, a lot of these different things. The mindset that I'm in, I would not, and I don't really know to what extent he was just focusing on. I know he was a Pan-African, or if you listen to Dr. Umar, shout out to Dr. Umar. Yo, Dr. Umar's bank account, by the way, just got frozen. So if y'all want to cash app him, we'll look at that video soon too. But I just, y'all know how I am. I don't identify my group with race. I identify my group with who's aligns with my principles, morals, and values, period. But just to be clear, everything that those people, your favorite, Marcus Garvey was doing, there's a reason why Marcus Garvey is not taught. The same way that they looked at Malcolm X and the CIA or the FBI, whichever one was working with that nation, working with the Nation of Islam, or however you see fit, I don't know, whatever, in order to try to get Malcolm out of here. When J. Edgar Hoover, I believe it was, said that they had a fear of Malcolm becoming the next Black Messiah. If you think that Malcolm X was going to be the next Black Messiah, who died broke. Now, Malcolm X was gifted when it came to being an orator, but Marcus Garvey was on a different level. A different level. Just to be clear, and y'all know Malcolm that's my favorite, that's my guy. That's my guy. Let's keep going.
Were you born as a Rasta? How did that evolve?
Well, I figure now I was born, you know, and when born and growing, there was a certain amount of consciousness in myself that, you know, it was always a lonely world, not finding people who might think like me, you know.
Yeah.
Not to say that I think so different, but because this consciousness about God and the people who come from is more Christian, you know. We always try to do, like, try to stand up on the right. But we used to find out now that one church quarreling against the next church, and I figure I never want any of that, you know. I never want to really enter into the thing where this one I fight against that one and everybody talking about God still. So after going on and coming up, you know, the thing that was there get more stronger, come to Kingston, meet some more people, them people is Rasta. You talk to them and find out it's the same thing we have inside. It's the same thing.
How old were you when this started to happen?
This is about 17, 18, you know. I find out that the same thing where I deal with is the same thing where the Rasta man talk about. So that is how I could identify myself as a Rasta. By not changing, you know.
Now, what happened when you went back home and told your family what you had found?
Oh, I never have a home to go back to.
No?
No. Where we from, everybody gone, you know. Everybody gone. Everybody living in America, some living in Kingston, everybody gone. So, never really have a home, not that much, although we used to have a home before grandfather died, you know. But after grandfather died, everything gets crashed. So, you know,
so you came to Kingston, and that's where it began to happen.
Yeah.
Where did you live in Kingston? What part?
East. I call it East Kingston. Out near the east.
Yeah.
And then we go up a place named Oxford Street, you know, down to Spanish Town Road, down to then up to Trenchtown.
Yes. So for a long time, things were kind of lean.
Well, yes, things was kind of lean as can. It leaves to what is your expectation anyhow, do you know? To me, it was lean, but I could understand it because coming from the country, where you learn to do things like, you don't learn to depend on family and all of that, you know. You go out and you plant your own corn, and you watch the corn grow. When corn grow, you pick your own corn, you know what I mean?
Yes.
All of them fruits on them tree, you can get them, you know? So...
It's a little different, though, in town.
Yeah.
You know, we've got to do different things to eat, eh?
Well, when you're in cities, a whole different ball game, you know?
Right.
People have to go to work, catch the bus. You know, the country, all the day, you go for the donkey, and you ride the donkey to the farm, and you're cool, you know?
Right.
In the city, people also catch the bus, go to work, get off work, come back home, you know? So it was a different thing up there.
I know a little bit about Jamaica, and I understand in Kingston, Trenchtown is a rough part of town. How did you survive?
Well, while living in Trenchtown, you know, as a young man, surviving was easy. The only thing you'd have to really look out for was the police, you know. Because the police could just get you, frame you, you go to prison, and because you come from Trenchtown, you know, Trenchtown's from them say, where you from? They say, Trenchtown, you're gone. You know, you get shipped out.
You know, a lot of people are confused about what a Rasta really is and have a very negative image of the Rasta. Tell us what a Rasta is.
See, Christ promised that he will return within 2,000 years, you know, and him said, when him come, he will be the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the conquering Lion of Judah, through the lineage of King Solomon and King David. Now, my life have great meaning to me. So I really search to find out if God is here. When I search, I looking at Ethiopia. I look all about, looking at Germany, you know, because I'm not prejudiced. I look for God. I'm looking at Ethiopia, I'm say, one man stand up with these names, Emperor Haile Selassie, name King of Kings, Lord of Lords, conquer.
And just so y'all, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar or can understand, he's talking about Haile Selassie. So Haile Selassie, he was who the Rastas believe, and his name was Ras. So that's why they go by Rastafarian. But he's what, you know, when you hear certain people talk about like King of Kings, Jesus, he's what Bob Marley and the rest of the Rastas believe as the reincarnation of Christ. So they are Christians, or let me not say they're Christians. They do go by the Bible. They do go by the Bible, and I believe it would be appropriate to say that they're Christ-like. But yeah, I guess we'll let him explain it. I ain't got to explain it.
Line of Judah, through the lineage of King Solomon and King David, written in the Bible. One of my things is that the Bible, them say that King James edit the Bible. Now, my understanding is that King James edit the Bible. I don't think he would edit it for the benefit of black people. So when the revelation turned out that Haile Selassie is the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, coming straight through the lineage of King Solomon and King David, then, you know, we really know that this is the Christ return. Because we know in this world, yeah, when the white man edit it, he wouldn't edit it in our behalf. You know, he would have more edited to make it look like England going to be the big thing. But in the last days, they had proved out that is Ethiopia, Haile Selassie, you know, and Haile Selassie's name is Rasta. So we are called Rastas, you know, called by his name. And then it's a lot of things. We go as far as saying, him say when him return and you call upon him, now this is God, him say when him return and you call upon him, your mother and your father will forsake you. Now, we know that if you call upon the Catholics, them embrace you. You call upon the Church of God, them embrace you. Any religion you call upon, you might get embraced. The only religion them push you off from is Rasta. But that does make the truth more real, because them say, when you call upon my name, your mother and your father will forsake you. And that is why today you hear Rasta get so much bad name. It's not because Rasta do anything bad, but it's because how the prophecy go with it. If your mother and your father will forsake you, just imagine people who don't even know you.
I want to talk about what he discussed earlier as far as when he's talking about the King James Version of the Bible. And this is what I've talked about earlier as far as indoctrination, where here you had this King James Version that was, and I just looked it up. Let me see if I can find it. It was written in 1611. So in 1604, King James convened a group of about 50 scholars and translators to begin the work of translating the Bible. In 1611, the King James Version was completed and first published. All right, so in 1611. So then you look at when did the first slave ships from Africa come to North America, right? The transatlantic slave trade, all right, whatever. 1619. And none other than down the street from where I went to school at, literally down the street, on the same street in Jamestown, Virginia. And in black churches throughout America, what version do you see in most of them? You see that King James Version. Now, why would the majority of black churches have the King James Version of the Bible when there's a bunch of other translations, more pure translations, as you would say, because they came about earlier? So when you're just translating a translation and then translating that translation, obviously it's going to be watered down. It's the game of telephone, right? But this is just, I'm not saying this for any other reason right now than to just highlight how sheepish we are. And this is going to go into the next topic if we have time to talk about the next topic, or we'll have to wait until Wednesday. But this is to go into the mindset of how people will just adopt things that are easier, adopt things that are just passed down to them, rather than what makes sense. Could you imagine somebody using a book, a version of a book, to enslave my ancestors' mind, to teach us one particular way of religion in order to justify slavery? We blame slavery for all of our problems right now, right? This happened in this Bible was translated in 1611. Transatlantic slave trade allegedly started in 1619, right? It's 2025. We blame slavery for everything, But then we go to church and use the same translation of the book and how it was changed in order to align with Europeans enslaving indigenous people, black people in America. Does this make any sense? These are the conversations that I used to have with these pastors when I first, maybe about 15 years ago, or no, probably about 12 years ago, 10, 12 years ago, when I left Christianity. It's like, yo, what are y'all doing? Like, what are y'all doing? And you know what really set it off for me, and I think I've told y'all this story before, is I sat down with a white pastor. Coolest lady. I wish I still had her phone number or a way to contact her. And she explained to me how Christianity is taught differently to this day and has always been taught differently in white churches to white people as far as how it's taught to black people, to convince black people to be more obedient and from a servitude standpoint in order to what? Obey your earthly master so you'll have heaven when you transition. Meanwhile, it's taught to white people, this is what she was telling me, in a totally different way. But black churches still embrace this, it's a nigga mentality, bro. I can't describe it as anything else. To have the King James Version in your, like, this makes no sense. Yo, it's crazy. It is crazy. Imagine pledging your life to something that was used to enslave your ancestors, and then you don't even read the whole book. You only listen to passages out of it, which is, I think, something that Bob Marley is getting ready to talk about, which is he's like, yo, let's continue with the interview. But I think I'm not sure if it's this interview. I told you I've been watching a lot of Bob Marley interviews, but he talks about how we read the Bible in America and we read it with different passages. And it's a book. It's supposed to be read from the beginning. We've already discussed this. Oh, man. It's going to be a tough battle getting out of this ignorant state.
You know what I mean?
Well, in most religions, you go to church on Sunday, and you may go to a Bible class once or twice during the week, and that's it.
Yeah.
Is it pretty much basically the same in Rasta, or is it more involved?
No, we say that the man is the church. The Bible is there. But what we find out now is that a lot of people read the Bible, but them don't understand the Bible because the approach to the Bible is wrong. I mean, there's no way you can read a book. You just take up a book and just read it in the middle and figure you can find out what was happening from the beginning to the middle. The Bible is a whole book with a whole tradition in it. And from them read to Genesis to Revelation, the whole truth of the whole straight road with the overstanding is there. You know? So it's not a say, well then, we just go church and do like the other Christian. We know that the man is a church, you know? Because you just can't overthrow the truth. You know, our people, our roots, when we search for it, we find it in a Rasta. Because we don't see, there's no other way, we don't see no other way. It's Rasta we find the roots in there, you know.
How do you?
So now we're seeing, this is why the Rastafarian faith was looked at how it was looked at, in my opinion. Could you imagine Bob Marley using his influence to spread this type of, like, that's dangerous to some people. That compromises some people's power. You start having Bob Marley come in here, start talking like this, making sense.
Because we don't see, there's no other way. We don't see no other way. It's Rasta find the roots in there, you know.
How do you handle fame?
I handle fame by not being famous.
Come on, you know you're a famous man.
No, I mean, you know, not to me.
No?
Not to me.
Not famous to me.
Some people get drunk off of fame.
See, I learned from you was coming in, from I just started music. You know, the people them want me. Them show me say, hey, this game is a game where if you don't mind sharp, you lose your consciousness.
You lose your consciousness.
The only way you can lose your consciousness is because if you figure say you're getting, some people say rare, your head might get swell.
Right.
And if your head swell, that's it. So you know, really don't keep my head in a bandage that it can't swell. True.
How do you handle the women that come at you in droves? People have visions.
All right, so we're gonna pause on this interview, and we're gonna move to and I feel bad that we watched the whole damn Matt Walsh and then only watch a bit of Bob Marley, but it's all good. It's all good. It's I think Bob Marley speaks powerful enough to where we may not necessarily need to hear as much from him to understand and to take heed to some of the things that he's preaching, because he is definitely preaching. All right, let's not in the pastor preaching way, you know, like real preaching way. All right, so I want us to look at this.